Hello everyone, I'm Tyler Anderson and welcome to the first episode of the Whatcom Prep Sports Report. And I'm here to tell you, if you truly have a passion for something and you work extremely hard, your dreams can come true. And right now, my passion bucket is overflowing with this new show. But before we dive into the world of Whatcom County High School sports, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The coronavirus has already disrupted most of our everyday lives, and high school sports are no exception. Washington Governor Jay Inslee mandated a statewide 6-week closure of all public and private schools and their activities. We're taking all the necessary precautions, and we just have to stay hopeful that there will be spring sports at some point during the season. Looking back at the winter sports season, Whatcom County had a tremendous showing at the state basketball tournament. And we'll talk more about that on next week's show with our special guest Haley Palmer, sports reporter for the Linden Tribune. At the state wrestling tournament known as the MAC Classic, Whatcom County sent 42 athletes to grapple with the best from around the state of Washington. Obviously, the best wrestler will finish in first place, but anyone who follows the sport will tell you that the toughest wrestler will finish in third place because of the number of matches that they compete in. Whatcom County had 4 wrestlers finish in third place. Ferndale senior Jacob Rosell at 170 pounds, Nooksack Valley senior Cameron Bauman at 195 pounds, Bauman's teammate and fellow senior Levi Harlan at 220 pounds, and finally Linden junior Haley Holstein at 130 pounds. Rosell missed most of the season due to concussion-like symptoms, but was still able to battle his way back to finish his career with a win. Bauman, who at 6'4" is built more like a basketball player, used his lean body to outmuscle opponents. Harlan is a no-nonsense competitor that has already enlisted into the United States Army. In fact, he spent his summer break in 2019 completing boot camp in Fort Benning, Georgia. I wouldn't want to mess with that dude. And Holstein is the only one out of the 4 that will be returning next year, and she will likely have her sights set on a state championship in 2021. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at our senior spotlight. Every week, we'll spotlight one high school senior in Whatcom County and take a look at what sets them apart from the rest. This week, we'll be talking about Linden Christian senior Riley Dykstra. She ended her basketball career with 103 wins to just 7 losses. That's the best winning percentage of any senior class in school history and tied for the most wins. She's a 4-year varsity player, a 3-year starter. She placed at state all 4 years, including 2 state championships in 2018 and this past season in 2020. She was also named the Northwest Conference Most Valuable Player in 2020, and she was just named to the 1A All-State Tournament team. She has signed on to play basketball at Western Washington University alongside her sister Avery. And I caught up with her coach, Brady Baumer, and he couldn't speak highly enough of her, saying, "Riley is an extremely versatile basketball player. She can guard all 5 positions on the other team. Riley is willing and able to do whatever it takes to help her team win. She is capable of leading her team in scoring, guarding the other team's best player, creating shots for her teammates, or getting crucial rebounds. She always played her best on the biggest stages when the lights were brightest." What makes Riley truly special is her love for her teammates. She genuinely cares for their well-being and success. They respect her because of the integrity in which she lives her life, the kindness she treats others with, and the work ethic she has. She has modeled what it looks like to be a Lady Link every day that she wore the blue and white jersey. Our program will miss Riley tremendously. So congratulations to Riley, and we look forward to seeing you play with the Vikings next year. If you would like to nominate a senior for us to spotlight, leave a comment below and let us know. After the break, I'll be sitting down with local baseball luminary Jeff Bearden to talk about this current season, local history, and general life advice. But first, let's take a minute to hear from the local businesses that make this show possible. Welcome back. I'm here with Whatcom County baseball expert Jeff Bearden. And Jeff, thanks for joining us, man. How you been doing?
I've been doing good, just trying to avoid the viruses flying around Whatcom County and the country right now. It's kind of scary times, but hopefully everyone can come together and work together as a country and we can get over this.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. And let's talk a little baseball. If you're involved in baseball in Whatcom County, you know who Jeff is. He's been in contact with so many different people, but what's your first memory of baseball growing up as a kid? I would imagine have to do with playing catch or watching some old Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, actually, because I'm really old. I was born before the Mariners even existed. My first memory, I was probably 3 or 4, and I remember just playing catch with my dad out in the backyard.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like about 2nd or 3rd grade, I found out I had a cousin that was a professional baseball player.
Oh, okay.
Or a second cousin, I guess, my dad's cousin. And he played for the Milwaukee Brewers. His name was Tommy Soto. Had gone to Pepperdine University. And we lived just across the border in Langley, BC at the time. And he got promoted to AAA, and the Brewers farm team was in Vancouver, BC. And so we used to go to the Vancouver Canadian games all the time whenever they were in town.
Right.
And, it was great. I got to meet all the players and hang out with them. And from there on, I was in love with the sport of baseball.
Right. It's easy. It's really hard to not fall in love with baseball because it's just a romantic sport. That's what I always say. Of course, you played locally here at Meridian. We won't say exactly how long ago, but it was roughly 30 years ago.
Exactly 30 years ago, yeah.
So the Whatcom County League at that time was really strong. Blaine won the state championship at that time. What are some of the memories you have against some of those teams and some of the players that you played against?
The old Whatcom County League was tough back then.
Yeah.
Back then it was Blaine, Meridian, Nooksack, Linden Christian, Mount Baker.
Right.
The 6 of us. And I just remember every game was a dogfight. We had, Nooksack was loaded with athletic talent. They had Brandon Newell, who went to the University of Washington and pitched and then drafted by the New York Mets. Right. Tom Ackerman, who went to Eastern Washington and played football.
Right.
But he was a great player. And then they had Troy Slayton, who threw really hard back then. He was a sophomore my senior year, but he was still bringing bullets back then. Yeah. I mean, like you said, Blaine won the state title.
Right.
I mean, they had some great guys on that team. Jay Boykin and
Rob Adams.
Rob Adams was on that team. Rod Donor was on that team. And they actually beat us to go to the state tournament. We played a district 3rd place game at Joe Martin Stadium. And
this is when it was natural grass.
Natural grass, and the hill was still out in left field out there that you could run up. And, but they beat us in that 3rd place game to go to state, and then they ended up winning the state title that year, which was a surprise to everybody but those Blaine players.
Sure.
Because Nooksack was so good that year, everyone figured they were the team to beat.
Yeah, they were ranked really high all year.
All year long they were ranked, and but Linden had Derek Croft playing for him, who played basketball in college, and Mount Baker had guys, and Linden Christian had John Vandegren, who played at the University of Washington. Yeah. So it was a great league, and it was a tough league. And for us to even get out of league play and get to districts, it was great for us. Yeah. And obviously we would have loved to have gone further, but
sure.
Blaine and Nooksack represented our league very well that year.
You got the chance at a young age to work in the professional baseball. You got to work for the Seattle Mariners. And what are some stories you have? I'm sure you met all sorts of star athletes.
Yeah, you know, guys that I'm still friends with to this day.
Yeah.
You know, started out working in Bellingham here with the Bellingham Mariners.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call the spring of '93, and it was the Mariners saying, hey, we've got an opening with our team in Riverside, California. We got your name from two of our coaches, Dave Myers and Brian Price. And they said, you're really good at what you do. We'd love to have you come down.
Yeah.
Well, about 3 days later, I was on a flight to Riverside, California. Never been to Riverside in my life.
Right.
And, got down there and loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And then ended up working with the Mariners in their minor league system for 4 years. And then eventually with the big league team. And, I was with the big league team in '95 during the run.
That's the year to do it, right there.
And I got there after our season in AA was over. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina. We were the Port City Roosters, most hideous colors of a team you'll ever see. But that team in AA was loaded. I mean, it had Derek Lowe, Jason Varitek, Craig Griffey, Ryan Franklin.
Yeah. I still have a Ryan Franklin jersey.
Rafael Carmona. I'm missing guys on that team. I mean, we had, I think there was 9 or 10 guys off that AA team, Desi Relaford, that eventually played in the big leagues.
Yeah.
So I was there in '95, and then I went, they needed me in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. Drove across country, got back to Seattle. And when I got back, the Mariners were just starting that push towards the wild card and getting back into the division race with the Angels. I got back and I kept telling everyone, well, I must be a good luck charm. We've only lost 1 game since I got back here.
Right.
But yeah, I was there throughout that playoff run, the 1-game playoff with the Angels, which to this day is one of the craziest days to be a part of. And then obviously the series with New York Yankees was something, and then into Cleveland, even though they didn't win. But yeah, just being a part of that whole process to this day. I mean, when I hear Dave Niehaus, you know, give his great call of Griffey coming around second, heading towards third, it still gives me goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just seems so unreal to see guys that I know that, I mean, we were the Seattle Mariners. We were nobodies.
Right.
And to see that group of guys have the success that they did was amazing.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, you come back home and you're a part of your alma mater. You're helping out coaching at Meridian.
Yep.
And in the late '90s, there was a run of really good athletes that you got to coach. Of course, that group of seniors in 2000, they just came off a state championship football team that was just dominated everybody. And then you got to, you know, help them get to a third place state finish. Talk about some of those athletes that were on that team. Obviously, you know, I mean, I'll have you mention them, but there were some really good players on that team.
We had, you know, it was the Slesk lineages right there. I mean, we had Jeff Bearden and Eli Slesk was on that team. Jake Peterson. Joel Pears. It was just great athletes that we had on the field, and they were the kind of kids that could do anything when it came to the football and baseball field. And they loved the sports. They loved playing baseball, and they had grown up together. Playing.
That's huge.
Playing together. But yeah, I'd put together a really good team, and we knew going into the season that we had a shot.
Sure.
And when we got to the state Final Four in Yakima, and you know, we were looking at, okay, who are we drawing here? Well, in the semifinals, we played Elma, and probably drew the toughest pitcher we'd faced all year.
Right.
The kid would eventually go to University of Washington and pitch, and but we had a chance in the first inning. We ended up losing, I I think it was 5-1 was the final score. But we had a chance in the first inning. We had bases loaded, nobody out, and just a couple, just bad luck.
Yeah.
Jake Peterson took a foul ball off the bat, hit him in the eye, knocked him out of the game. He was our big bopper.
Yeah.
And he comes up with the bases loaded, and
now you're thinking, hey, this is good.
We got a shot. And to beat good pitchers like that, you've got to get on them early.
You have to take advantage.
You've got to take advantage early. And we thought, okay, we got a chance here. Bases loaded, nobody out. We get a couple runs here. I like our chances.
Yeah.
And but it just didn't happen. But I was proud of the guys. We turned around the next day, and we played Ephrata, who back then seemed like they won the state title every year.
Right.
They had just a dynasty going. And but we played for third place the very next day, and we came out and we opened a can on them. Yeah. I mean, we scored, I think, 14 or 15 runs.
Oh, man, just let it all out.
It did. I think the pressure was off of us.
Yeah.
And the guys did what they normally did, which was hit the ball and play great defense, and we did. It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the only disappointing thing was we didn't win the state title, but you know what? That team was a lot of fun to be with.
There's been a lot of great talent even since then. I mean, you've come back and helped coach at Meridian. You've been a Legion coach for Post 7. So there's been so many. You talk about Jake Locker, your Joey Pachorek, there's so many guys that have been really great baseball players, and now kind of coming up, a lot of eyes are on Jacob Kaepernick at Seaholm. His ERA was under 1 last year. He struck out 73 batters, only walked 10. And when you talk about a program like Seaholm, and of course Gary Hatch forever was just that legendary coach. Monty Walton, who was with them for majority of that time, is now the new coach. What kind of program does Seaholm have, and what do you always look for them to do?
Every year, Seaholm's going to be good. They're going to be fundamentally sound, pitching-wise, defensively, hitting-wise. They're not afraid. There's a big push in pro baseball now. Don't bunt.
Yeah.
We've got 2 schools in this county, Meridian and Seaholm, that aren't afraid to bunt.
Yep.
They'll give up the outs to push a run across.
Yeah. They're winning programs.
And they're winning programs.
Exactly.
So you can't tell me that what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
Because they're there every single year, competing for state titles, or at least getting to the state tournament.
Right.
But yeah, you just look at the good programs, Linden, Seaholm, Meridian, guys that are there every year, and it starts with youth programs.
Yeah.
Linden has an unbelievable youth program for all sports.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise. People always say, well, why is Linden so good every year?
Yeah.
Well, it starts at the very bottom there when these kids are 5 years old.
Yeah.
They're playing youth sports, and the kids that play for Seaholm, they're playing, Little League or Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. Then they go up and they play crush baseball or whatever growing up, and that's where you see these programs succeeding is because they've grown up with it.
Right.
But yeah, Seaholm's going to be good.
Yeah,
Seaholm's gonna be really
they're always
good.
going to be good.
Yeah.
Of course, Coach Slesk very well at Meridian, and he runs a tight practice. It's very hard nosed, and it's the same thing. The cleanup hitter will bunt.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. Everyone needs to learn how to bunt. Of course, we mentioned Monty Walton. He's been the head coach for about 4 years, but he was the assistant for over 30 years.
Monty's been around baseball.
Oh, man.
He's another guy who's been around baseball since he was a little kid.
Exactly.
His dad,
Mal.
His dad, the great Mal Walton,
Yeah.
is a baseball legend.
Yeah.
He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates growing up. And, Monty has been around the game and knows a lot.
Yeah. And speaking of youth baseball, your son Brady is 5 years old. He just played a little bit, and I have to have a question for you because I've seen him throw out the first pitch at Bellingham Bell's games, and I noticed he's left-handed.
Yes.
Now, because I've heard stories of parents that love baseball that will teach their kid to eat left-handed. They'll tie the right arm down, and I wouldn't put it past you, Jeff, but. Is he naturally left-handed?
honestly, he is naturally left-handed.
All right, okay.
But it's strange because he throws left-handed, but he hits right-handed. I've tried to get him to hit left-handed, but no, he's more comfortable hitting right-handed. The only person I know, and I just heard this last year, Evan White, the new Seattle Mariners first baseman, is the same way.
Yeah. Ricky Henderson.
Ricky Henderson throws left, hits right.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, gosh, this isn't going to work. But I'm seeing other guys do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to let him go with it.
Yeah.
So if he
You
wants
got to do what's natural,
yeah.
right?
So I think, pitching, he's way more natural throwing left-handed.
Yeah.
And hitting, he can do it left-handed, but not as well as he hits right-handed.
And he's playing with kids a little older than him.
Yeah.
So he's got that advance. I mean, I've seen the videos of can't wait till dad gets home to go play catch. He's in full gear.
Baseball gear.
Man. And that's what's cool is because to see the youth of America, people talk about baseball as like a dying sport and that kids aren't as involved in it anymore. And I think it's a sport that if you get them in early, it's a sport, like I say, I'm romantic about it. It's hard not to love it. Every kid seems to play it growing up somehow, or they understand the basic rules. And so it's so cool to see someone that's so young to get into it and love it so much.
Yeah, and he, even if I'm not at home, every once in a while he'll grab his baseball gear and the little indoor balls, and he'll give them to mom to pitch.
Yeah.
And he'll just stand in the corner of the living room and he'll hit and she'll pitch to him and stuff like that. But it's I would never push baseball onto them.
Yeah.
I think kids get enough pressure as there is, and they need to do what they love.
Yeah.
And he also loves he loves singing and loves music and dancing too. So, but he does love baseball, and I know he's disappointed. We were supposed to go see his favorite player, Ernie Yate, play for Gonzaga coming up here, and down at University of Washington they were playing the Huskies, and that's now been canceled. So I know he's a little disappointed about not being able to see that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not going to be a disappointment around the high school sports time. I mean, as of now, the state tournaments are still in place.
Right.
And so it's going to be figuring out tournaments and how to get to state. But we'll just all have to wait and see and find out kind of what that means for Whatcom County. So
and it's the thing we're in right now. We have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's something brand new for everybody, and hopefully everyone takes care of themselves, and we can get this over with as soon as possible and get back to the things that we love in this country.
That's right. All right, well, there you go. Thanks a lot, Jeff, for stopping by, and hopefully I'll see you out at the baseball field.
Definitely, I'll definitely
there will be
out
baseball
there
for us to watch.
Yes, I hope so too.
And thanks again to Jeff Bearden for being our first guest. And we'll be back next Sunday with Linden Tribune sports reporter Haley Palmer. I'll see you next week.